Welcome to Ecclesia Principles, a biblical strategy for believers to engage in God's design for government with Ray Eppard.
Hello, great to be with you today. Today we're going to be reading from Matthew 16:18, and then we're going to talk about what an ecclesia is. Here Jesus is speaking to Peter and he says, "And I also say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my ecclesia," my church, "and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it." Now, the word in Greek that is used there for church is ecclesia. Now, the word church doesn't come from ecclesia. It comes from an entirely different Greek word. The English equivalent of ecclesia is ecclesia. It's a transliteration. It is an English pronunciation of the Greek word. And at the time of Jesus, an ecclesia, it was the title for the legislative body of the Greek city-states. And with this, as with most cultures of that time, the legislative body, the leaders making their decisions for the community and the area and so forth, met at the gates of the city. And here, Jesus is talking about building an ecclesia and being at the gates of hell. Now, if you would, you could put it this way. What Jesus was kind of identifying is that at the gates, hell has representatives, and he wants to have representatives that will impact the culture. Because ultimately, what a legislative body does is impact culture. It determines what is lawful, what is not, what can be done, what can't be done, which is very similar to what Jesus said later on. He said, "And I give you the keys of the kingdom. What you bind will be bound. What you loose will be loosed." In other words, what you allow, heaven will allow. What you do not allow, heaven won't allow. And he said, you've actually got the keys. Heaven doesn't have the keys. The ecclesia has the keys right now. That's what Jesus said. And so with that, if you would, in Jesus saying he would build an ecclesia, he would build a legislative body. Now, that doesn't take away from the assembly of what we call church and having church. Don't misunderstand that at all. All those dynamics are real and true. But because we haven't had the term ecclesia understood properly, there's a segment that we're missing. And it's that segment that we're missing is actually doing harm to our country right now, because we're not filling the role that Jesus said we should. The church in early America filled that role. They were an ecclesia. They did determine culture, not always correctly, not always correctly, but they did do it. Now, the goal is to do it and to do it right. But with this, Jesus said, "I will build my ecclesia." And if you would, that there would be a conflict between his ecclesia and hell's ecclesia. And the gates of hell, the hell's ecclesia, those pushing an agenda different from God, that Jesus intended that they not prevail. Jesus intended, if you would, for his ecclesia to be the biggest factor in culture. God bless you. Have a great day.
This program was brought to you by Victory Worship Center and World Outreach. Services Sunday 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, 200 Hammond Lane, Stanton, Virginia.